We have a new report that essentially confirms it. It confirms moves are about to be made for this Raptors group entering this year's trade deadline. As with the resurgence of this team, Chris Boucher playing absolutely out of his mind over the past month, with Bruce Brown getting healthy and playing at a very high level as a role player for this Raptors group, and the team winning some games as of late, there's been some questions about if the market is a little bit lower, if there's tighter, if there's too much competition to get some serious assets back. Do the Toronto Raptors hold on to some of their guys, extend some of these guys, and move into the future with these core role players that have frankly been playing well as of late, even if it means, writing off this season's purpose, focus on acquiring, capturing that flag, getting a top draft pick in this year's NBA draft, even if it means, hey, we dug ourselves too much of a hole. We might not even be able to get back in the plane and stuff. Getting that stuff going, but those questions have been answered and essentially shut down by this latest report, and now more names are being thrown into this conversation, this discussion, and a guy that hasn't really been talked about too much, and that includes Davion Mitchell, who is a player that, of course, is also an expiring and hasn't been brought up in too many trade conversations. So we're going to break down what these reports are saying, what's going on, and what truth is really happening behind the scenes for this Raptors group. So lots of stuff to break down in this vid, but of course, if you guys are a part of the 67% of our viewers that haven't hit the subscribe button just yet, and you want to stay up to date with everything that's going on with this Toronto Raptors team, make sure you guys hit that sub button, as things are about to get crazy over the next couple weeks as trade season is officially upon us. But let's dive into the madness. Kind of showed a little bit of a report there, but this site has been going around, getting sent around a ton. Toronto Raptors land, as the Raptors are opening to trading Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, Davion Mitchell, and Chris Boucher for second-round picks, per Michael Grange. And Toronto also looms as a potential facilitator for Jimmy Butler trade as well. So there's nothing crazy novel in the fact that, hey, the vets on the Toronto Raptors are open for trades. Yes, the Toronto Raptors want to facilitate some blockbuster moves. That's not big, novel, shocking stuff. But from this article, you get some interesting insights in terms of what's going on. And then, the actual asking price, the value for some of these players out there on this open market. So basically taking a look, diving a little bit further in terms of what's being said, each of Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, Chris Boucher, and Davion Mitchell are valued with second-round picks of varying quality, but they have at least shown that they are healthy and rounding into form, with all the veterans popping off for strong performances in the past couple weeks. And to say the least, that they've been popping off. Of course, Davion Mitchell's been solid this entire year, especially where Immanuel Quickley's been out of the lineup. But Masai Ujiri's had a ton of guys just really step up and help his trade discussions, with Chris Boucher just having night in, night out, just monster nights for this Toronto Raptors team. I mean, his stats on the season are pretty solid, right? Close to 11 points per game, 4.4 rebounds, shooting 37% behind the three-point line right now, and he's not old and washed by any stretch of the imagination, still in the prime of his career at 32 years old. He's on an expiring contract, so any competitive team would be interested in bringing in Chris Boucher, and right now the value's at second-round picks, and I've joked, someone hounded me in the comment section for our last video saying, Ben, you're too unrealistic with the 4 first-round picks. Yes, 5 first-round picks, 7 first-round picks. Of course, we're not getting 7 first-round picks for Chris Boucher. We'd be lucky to get 1, just given his age, status, and, just because he's popped off. But I'm a bit hyperbolic. I like throwing the memes out there at this point. But, second-round picks does genuinely seem a little bit too low, but in today's market, it's tough to acquire first-round draft capital. So, and we'll talk about potential discussions, options for the Toronto Raptors team. But Chris Boucher, has rounded out to form. And right now, the market is sort of set at a couple second-round picks, but that's why Masai Ujiri's getting paid the big bucks to negotiate higher moves. Bruce Brown, of course, has been awesome for this Toronto Raptors team. Coming out there, and his stats have been off the wall, right? Bruce Brown, if he's coming out 8 points per game, he's been his stats didn't pop up, but essentially proving to the NBA that he is healthy, he can play defense, he can cut really well, he can do all the Bruce Brown things we saw him do for the Denver Nuggets just a couple seasons ago and win an NBA championship. So his values are going to be increasing, and I just showed a little bit of the stats there, but Davion Mitchell, he's showing that definitely he can man the point guard position for whatever group he gets traded to or sent to, or plays elite defense. He facilitates really well. The three-point shooting has been up and down over the course of the season, but Davion Mitchell can knock it down from behind the three-point line, can of course play defense, and the most impressive thing he's shown to me, at least watching these games, is how much of a facilitator he is. Whether it's in the pick and roll, whether it's hitting cutters, whether it's threading the needle on different passes, Davion Mitchell's been an effective playmaker for this Raptors squad. So Davion Mitchell, I'm liking what he's performing. Then Kelly Olynyk as well. You see that three-point percentage number. Forget everything else. He's also had a couple sneaky good defensive games, which I won't say too loudly, but Kelly Olynyk shooting 49% from the three-point line as a 6'11 shooter. Teams are just going to look at that and be like, hey, we'll give you some value. We'll give you some pieces there. So, second-round draft capital, varying quality, seems to be the going rate here now at this point for this group. And then we also have some insights in terms of all those guys could be on the move. One league source said to Michael Grange, the way they've played the last few weeks, it really, really helps. So the Raptors' horizon is longer than the next few weeks, but the trade deadline can't help but have their attention to the time being. So the Raptors looking to really build for the future, really construct this team. That has not changed despite the wins after wins piling up for this Raptors group here now at this point. So still expect the Raptors to facilitate some moves, to make some trades happen, and of course, get involved in those Jimmy Butler sweepstakes. And that's the big thing too, because Bruce Brown's contract at roughly $20 million per year, he's a guy that's kind of crucial in terms of facilitating one of these moves, one of these trades. Other teams I've seen named in terms of other third team, fourth team facilitators for big blockbuster trades is the Washington Wizards, who have been horrible themselves. Kyle Kuzma's another guy that has been tied and linked to a bunch of different teams and wants out. The Wizards expect them to be very, very active entering this year's trade deadline. And the other one is the Detroit Pistons, which I don't think Masai Ujiri has to worry about a ton, heading into this year's trade deadline, competing with the Pistons. I know they've been thrown out there in terms of these reports and rumors and things, but the Pistons have been good. I don't think they want to take on just bad salaries and try to get draft capital. The Pistons have been on a little bit of a run. They are trying to compete. They're trying to, make that push out there in the Eastern Conference. So I think the most scary team is the Washington Wizards. Again, we talked about Kuzma. They also have Malcolm Brogdon out there on their roster, who's an expiring contract, would essentially provide the similar sort of effect of a Bruce Brown, a guy that's dealt with some injuries but has been really good for teams in the past. 1-year deal, low risk, high reward for those types of guys. So the Wizards are the team that really scares me in terms of the Raptors having a ton of leverage, because yes, in a vacuum, if the Raptors had all of these expiring guys, and we have the most, intriguing expiring players, out there on the open market with a Chris Boucher, with a Bruce Brown, with Davion Mitchell, with Kelly Olynyk, all these types of guys, especially Boucher with the level he's playing at, Bruce Brown, who won a championship. These are all guys that will be intriguing. But of course, when you're doing these salary dump deals, you're just trying to give up as few assets as possible. And if the Wizards are willing to take on less, especially with how desperate they have been as of late, then teams are just going to go in that direction. So don't expect the trigger to be pulled right away. Masai Ujiri is going to wait till the last minute, because that's when teams get desperate. That's when less options kind of ride out. Masai can really, milk them for assets. Of course, we've seen that in the past. And then the Toronto Raptors, rather than getting Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle for Kyle Lowry, I don't know if that deal was ever on the table, but that type of asking price back in the 2021 trade deadline season. But Kyle Lowry is up there for trade talks. And then, of course, they wanted Maxey, they wanted Thybulle, they wanted multiple first. The Sixers weren't really going to jive for that. Then we ended up trading him to the Miami Heat and got Precious Achiuwa and Goran Dragic in return, which wasn't that nice of a return. So we'll see how things go. Masai Ujiri, I trust your ability to negotiate. I trust your ability to make some trades. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. You guys, the best thing is subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.